So if you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, absolutely defeated, you probably think, oh, it's my anxiety, my depression kicking in that's keeping me stuck this way. But I want to tell you that's not true. Anxiety doesn't really keep us stuck. Even depression doesn't necessarily keep us stuck. But there is one mindset that if you allow it to dominate your mind, it will keep you frozen, paralyzed, stuck in a place that even if the solution is out there, you won't see it. So today I want to talk to you about self pity. And if that self pity sticks around too long, it'll change your whole identity. It'll change your identity into a victim identity, a victim mindset. And once that victim identity and victim mindset sets in, your whole life becomes paralyzed and you cease to move forward. And some of you probably feel like you're there. You feel like, I have descended, Tiffany, into this vortex, this pit, and I don't know how to get out of it. And a lot of times there's some very real situations and circumstances in your life. I'm not going to downplay that at all. Folks, I have had some very serious struggles. And those of you who've been following me, those of you who've been my clients, um, I had a really rough childhood. Those first years, I lost one of my children. I spent years battling chronic illness. I went through a divorce. I spent 15 years in a cult. I want you to feel sorry for me. What I want you to understand is that a lot of times our anxiety and depression is circumstantial. There's some tough crap going on in our lives. So I'm not downplaying any of that. And a lot of times when people try to address mindset with people, they're like, oh, you just need to, think positive, be happy. And you're thinking, oh my God, do you know what I'm facing right now? My relationship's a mess. I'm about to lose my job. My finances are in shambles. There's a lot of really difficult things that we're going through. And I understand that. I have been through so much. Even this last year, I spent most of the year living in a 9 out of 10 chronic pain, and it was tough. And I'm going to be honest with you. I fell into this trap. People think if you're a mindset coach, you're perfect. Nope, we're not perfect. We have to fight too sometimes. I have to use the same strategies I'm teaching you. And I'm not perfect. So, you know what? I fell down into the vortex of self pity. I call it a vortex because when you're spinning around at the top, it's pretty easy to get out. When you get sucked down to the bottom, it's really hard to get out. When you're really at the bottom, you feel like, I just don't even want to get out of bed. I can't find a solution. I don't see any way out. And then that's when it's super easy to fall into pity. If you stay there too long, folks, you are trapped in a victim identity. There are so many people out there living their entire life trapped in a victim identity. They don't move forward, they're stuck. And today we're going to talk about this self pity. We're going to talk about how to avoid it. We're going to talk about how to get rid of it. Because I know some of you folks listening, you're probably stuck there right now. And it's okay. I want you to know no matter how far down you are, no matter how difficult things are, you can get out of this self pity. Okay, so as I said, I have been through a lot of stuff, and it's so easy to fall into self pity. And the one thing I want you to know is that don't judge yourself, and I'm not judging you if you're struggling with self pity right now. This is a very normal human situation and circumstance. And a lot of times people are prone to that. Certain people have personalities that are just prone to self pity. And that sounds like an incriminating accusation that I'm making, but there's a reason for it. So, if when you were a child, you had a difficult upbringing, if you had a lot of trauma, then you are dealing with some learned helplessness. As that child living in that home, you didn't have a control. As an adult, we have a lot more control. We can go get a new job. We can end a relationship. We can move to another city. As a child, you had none of those choices. Children are the most helpless creatures on the whole earth. And you're genuinely helpless as a child. So, of course, you learn helplessness. Now, if as that helpless child, you were cared for, you were loved, you were safe, you don't feel so helpless. You live in a world where you matter and where you feel loved. Your nervous system is calm. You're co regulating with your parents. You wake up every morning, you feel safe. And even if you go out into the world, to school and things are dangerous, you come home to that safety. Now, for the first 5 years of my life, there was no safety. My mom was a drug addict and a Hell's Angel, and we lived in a legitimately dangerous world. So my nervous system learned that my world is not safe. My brain, my subconscious mind learned that I was helpless, that there was no way out, there was no way of escape. So many of you who are dealing and struggling with self pity, you're dealing with it because of the learned helplessness that you adopted, your subconscious mind adopted when you were a small child. Now, that sounds like bad news, but as I say over and over again in so many videos, what can be programmed in can be programmed out. So, no matter what kind of insecurity, fear, mindset was programmed into your mind as a small child, you can program it out. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Just how do we go about doing that? Um, so, the problem with self pity is it causes you to give up. Okay. Because you can't find a way out and you just relegate yourself to hopelessness. And when hopelessness sets in, then we usually see depression. Depression is all about hopelessness, and in depression, there's usually self pity. Now, please, I have been depressed. I have been so depressed that I didn't even get out of bed. So I'm not being judgmental. I'm here to help. I've been there. I know how hard it is. But I've asked myself a question many points, especially in the last year or two, because I've had some struggles with a spinal mass and I've had some business struggles with Google. And I've asked myself on those days when I started to feel sorry for myself, when I wanted to give up, I asked myself, what if I had given up when my child died? What if I had given up when I was trying to escape that religious cult? What if I had given up after my divorce? What if I had given up in my business struggles? What if I had given up so many times? Like, I'm not even giving up on YouTube, and I know my videos aren't always the greatest quality, but I'm not going to give up. Okay. So, if I had given up, I wouldn't be here today. The growth that I've seen in my life, the victories, the accomplishments. Yes, there's still struggles. And I know when you think about your life that if you look back, so much of the blessings that you do have, and I know you have some blessings, they wouldn't be there if you had given up. Okay, so I want you to think about that if you are feeling like you want to give up now. You just want to crawl in bed, roll up in a ball, put the covers over your head, and not get out of bed because everything seems hopeless. There is a mindset, a belief that helps you get out of self pity. And that belief is that there is a solution out there somewhere. Now, we talk a lot about beliefs because they're important. If you believe the solution is out there, you will not find it, even if it is. You won't find it because you believe it's not out there and you're not looking. So, having the belief that somewhere out there there's a solution is important. Now, what if there really isn't a solution out there because externally there's not a solution? When there is no external solution, there is always an internal solution. So perhaps you don't get what you want out there. That circumstance, the death of someone you love, the death of my daughter, there was no solution to that. I could not bring her back no matter what I did. So yes, I was completely helpless, but there was an internal solution. I had to adapt in my mindset, in my spirit, in my emotional resilience. I had to adapt. And I'm so glad I didn't give up. Like, let me tell you, I felt like it. There were days I got up and thought, I don't even want to live. It was so painful. But I did live and am here today. And I have other beautiful children that I'm so thankful for because I lost my first child. So if I hadn't kept going, if I'd given up on being a mom, if I'd given up, because after I lost my child, I ended up with some infertility. What if I'd given up? I wouldn't be where I am today. So no matter how dark it is for you, I'm telling you, don't give up. There is a way out. There is a solution, and you might not see it, but it is there. So I'm so thankful not to have given up, and I don't want you to give up either. So I want you to see self pity as the trap that it really is. It is a trap that locks its tentacles around you and holds you down. And the problem, we are tempted to think, well, the problem is my finances. The problem's this, the problem's that. The problem right now is your self pity, and it's time to get out of it. It's like a cage, things appear hopeless, but it's actually the pity itself that is keeping you hopeless, that is keeping you down. You are stuck in a state of learned helplessness. You are stuck in that frozen state in your nervous system. You're no longer willing to fight, and you're no longer willing to flee, or you just don't know how to do it, or you're so exhausted, you're not sure how you're going to get the energy up to do that. Okay, so there are different states in our nervous system. We've all heard about fight or flight, but very few people have heard about that freeze state. Self pity and that hopelessness is that freeze state where you're just paralyzed and don't even know where to go or how to move forward. So, what is the solution? The solution is to get out of it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But I want you to really take a step back for a moment. And I want you to think about the areas of your life where you might be stuck in self pity right now. I'm going to give you some common areas. So, one of them is weight loss struggles. So many people. I believe the statistic now is that 60% of Americans are obese. And I think 80% of Americans are overweight right now. Okay. Now, I'm not being judgmental. I have struggled in the past as well with weight loss. But so many times you've tried so many things. You've tried diets, you've tried pills, you may have tried shots, you've tried a million things, and you're still overweight. And you've given up hope. You believe, you know what? It's just useless. I can't lose weight. You don't like how you feel. You don't like how you look. You're worried about your health, but you've given up because you've tried so many things. Another area is finances. You've struggled to pay your bills for years. You don't see a way out. You don't see how you're going to rise above this situation and get out of debt, become self sufficient. Relationships. You've tried. You've been working on your marriage for 10 years and it's still a struggle, or you just can't find that right person. So think about how you might be experiencing self pity in these areas. Your health. Perhaps you have struggled with your health. You've changed your diet. You started exercising, but you're still having these annoying minor health problems and you don't see a way out and you're feeling depressed and hopeless about that. And then there's the state of the world. This is a huge one. This is probably the biggest struggle I'm seeing with clients right now. We're inundated with the news, with social media telling us all the time about how the world is about to end, the economy is about to collapse. Every leader is an authoritarian, that they're going to ruin the country depending on which side of the political fence you fall on. It's the other person. And you look at the state of the world and it feels hopeless and you begin to feel sorry for yourself. You think things like, why was I born now? Especially if you're in your early 20s, a lot of young people are complaining about and feeling like this is the worst time ever to be born, to live, and everything's hopeless for me. Like, I'm never going to own a house. I'm probably not going to find a wife. I won't be able to afford kids. And so everything seems hopeless. And then we fall into this pity, into this pit, and then you don't even look for a solution because you are absolutely sure it's not out there. You don't think it exists. Now, how do we get out of this? This is the important part. The first thing is you need to be your own advocate. No one's coming to save you. Got news for you. Nope. No one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to save you. And that was an important pivotal point in my life when I realized I'm not going to go out and find someone to rescue me. I have to rescue myself. I have to fight for myself. And if you have kids, I want you to think about if someone was victimizing them, if they were struggling, suffering, and you have a way to help them out, you are going to do it. Most mothers and fathers will fight to the death for their children. But then when it comes to ourselves, we just roll over and die. We just refuse to get out of bed. We'll fight for everyone else but ourselves. Now, how fair is that? One of the most important mindsets you can adopt is to become your own advocate. You need to fight for yourself, for your life. It's when we give up the fight that we fall into self-pity. So a lot of people are frustrated because they live in a state of fight or flight all the time. It's not ideal, but the fight when we're in difficult circumstances has a role. It's important. When you feel anxiety, it's your mind sending you a message, hey, you need to take action. Sometimes we just try to get rid of it, numb it, medicate it away, and your brain is trying to get you to take action. Okay. And a lot of that action is a little bit of that grit, a little bit of that fight. Okay. I want you to think about yourself. I want you to think about other people in your situation right now. What would you tell them? Would you fight for that person if it's someone you love? You would. But don't you love yourself? We need to love ourselves enough to fight for ourselves, to advocate for ourselves, not roll over. Number two, to overcome self-pity is you need to heal that inner child. That inner child that was frightened, that was helpless, that genuinely couldn't get out of a situation because they're a child. First of all, if you're watching this video, you're not a child anymore. You're an adult. And you have the ability now to make some choices. No one's telling you where you have to live, when you can get up, when you can go to bed. No one is forcing you to stay in a relationship. You have some advocacy, you have some ability to get out of situations. Now, on my YouTube channel here, and hopefully I'm going to get these up on the podcast soon, I have a lot of meditations on healing the inner child. And they are beautifully done. I didn't do them myself. A friend of mine who actually has a professional recording studio, she did them. We use them together for our clients, and these are so beautiful. It takes you through different aspects of your childhood, and it's a meditation where you actually meet with that child and give them what they didn't get. You meet that child's needs, you comfort, and you give that child a sense of protection and agency. And if you're listening thinking, well, that's dumb, that's not going to work, I'm telling you it does. Inner child healing is one of the most powerful ways to advocate for yourself and bring yourself to a place of healing. Now, the next step is to develop an empowered mindset. There are some key beliefs that you need to have to get out of self-pity. First one, we already talked about, and that is you need to understand, you need to believe that there is a solution out there. If it's not external, it's internal. Get yourself some coaching and help. Talk to friends, even ask ChatGPT for solutions. Believe it or not, you can get some great ideas. There is a solution out there. Like I will tell you, when I had a chronic illness, when I hit that 1 year mark of being deathly ill with chronic fatigue syndrome, so, oh my God, I can't believe I survived a whole year. And then it was year two. I thought, oh my God, another year. I can't believe I've made it through, because every day I felt like I had the flu. It was so awful, but I never gave up. I didn't find a solution that first year. I did not find a solution that second year. It was in the third year that I found a solution. And I know if you're in a really difficult situation right now, you're thinking, oh, I don't know how I can live another day, let alone a year. Take one day at a time. The solution's out there. Fight for yourself like you would for anyone you love, even your own pet. Some of you will fight harder for your own pet than you will fight for yourself. The solution is out there. So that belief that the solution is out there and that you can find it is so important. Another belief is that you need to have is that you don't have to have everything figured out now. Okay. Because maybe the problem you're facing has a lot of different components. It's not just finances, but it's a job situation. You're not trained for something that will get you a better job, your relationship. There's so many aspects of your life right now that are in chaos, and it's so overwhelming. You don't have to have everything figured out now. Okay. Everything is figure outable. I know that's probably not a word, but it's okay. Everything is figure outable, and you are smart enough to figure it out. You are strong enough to advocate for yourself, even if you don't feel like it now. So let's begin to plant those positive beliefs in your mind. You have to believe you're strong enough. I can overcome difficulty. I can navigate through challenges. I can move mountains that stand in my path. I would do it for someone else, even maybe my own pet. I'm going to do it for myself. Okay. You might not see how to do it right now, but you can do it, because if you look back into your past, I look back in my past, man, I've overcome some shit. Okay. A lot. I have overcome so much. So how dare I give up on myself now? How dare you give up on yourself now? Now, here's the big one. Okay. This is the big one. You need to create an action plan. Thinking, oh my God, Tiffany, how can I create an action plan if there is no solution? Okay. There is a solution. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to solve it out now, but you need to take action. Because when your brain brings you anxiety, it brings you that overwhelm. It's trying to get you to take that action. If you believe there's no solution, you don't take the action, you fall into self pity. If you stay in self pity, you fall into the victim mindset, which really keeps you stuck. It becomes your identity. Okay. So take action today. Even if you feel like the biggest victim in the world, even if you have been a victim of a crime, of infidelity, you've had a loss, even if you have been a victim, don't stay there. Fight for yourself by taking action. So you need to think about today. I'm going to challenge you. I want you to do one thing to take action today. Even if it's just, you know what, I'm going to sit down and make a budget. I'm going to write down, make a list of things that haven't worked so I know what I need to do. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me some ideas on how I can solve this problem. Okay. I'm going to call a relationship coach. I'm going to read a book on relationships. I'm going to take my child to a family therapy to see if we can solve this problem. Okay. And if I can't change anything out there, like truly, these are things I cannot control or change. How can I change internally? And that's what this channel is about, changing in the subconscious. How can I change internally so I can navigate the issue? So today, do something. Get up, make a plan. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to work. Okay, like I said, everything I tried that first year of chronic fatigue syndrome, 10 grand, by the way, none of it worked. The next year, everything I tried didn't work, but I didn't give up. And everyone's heard the story that Edison made 100 light bulbs before one finally worked. What if he had given up? What if I had given up? You don't give up either. I love you, and you hang in there and keep coming back. If this has been helpful, if you know someone out there who feels like they're just so overwhelmed, they're just stuck, send them this video. And please like and subscribe. I am looking forward to bringing you more videos. Talk to you soon.